Hello everyone and welcome to game 3 in a best of 3 series, in a best of 5 series here on Shakuro's Plateau. So yes, we have HasuObs spawning as the yellow Protoss player, meanwhile Sen spawning as the blue Zerg here on Shakuro's Plateau, and this promises to be an interesting game. Now, this is game 3 in the best of 3 series, and this is also the 5th series in the best of 5. Ultimately meaning the winner of this game will take home $1,500 for their clan, and I couldn't have scripted this any better, and hopefully this will be an exciting game. Now, taking a look at the positioning and the way that they are playing, it's very interesting to see that all of the maps that they're playing on are very similar. Tall Dream Altar, Terminus Ray, and now Shakuro's Plateau. Both players have probably gotten a good feel for each other and know what to expect from the other player. The key question is who's going to be able to adapt and come up with the better strategy. Mousesports' HasuObs most likely will be going for a Nexus expansion on that low ground here, and you have to remember this is the TSL version of Shakuro's Plateau, and a lot of players feel that the TSL version of Shakuro's Plateau really favors the Protoss playstyle. One of the reasons why is you can easily wall off your front door with gateways and cybernetics cores and a forge, and then you don't even have to destroy it. What you can do is then take down your backdoor rocks and expand into this direction here, and then come alongside and try to push down straight into your opponent's space. You essentially expand into your opponent's space. Back over here, the probe still wandering back and forth. It looks like this drone going to try to get some damage onto this one particular probe. The spawning pool already being placed down, and there you go, a pylon being warped into play as the probe wants to check if a spawning pool has been placed down. It in fact has been placed down, and now just wandering around once more. You can see that this one drone does have enough minerals to try and lay down a hatchery, and this one pylon will get taken down rather quickly. Drone going after a probe. It looks like the drone would not have won the fight, as the probe was the first one to deal damage. The drone does regenerate hit points as well, not quickly as those shields though, as the probe once again battling it out. And that probe just going to simply come up the ramp, and now 4 Zerglings able to deter this. We are going to have the one Zergling try to chase after this probe. Oh, and now a gateway being warped in. Oh, so adding insult to injury, warping in a gateway. That gateway, however, most likely will get canceled. It will not be able to warp in that quickly. 6 Zerglings apparently enough to destroy a gateway as it's being warped in, as the overlords are now in position here. This probe now trying to return and will be activating this Onaga Watchtower. Sees a swarm of Zerglings now making their way across the map, as the probe going to look to do a little bit more scouting. Nexus nearing completion. We already have a photon cannon here. Gateway up. A second gateway also warping in as well. That gateway most likely will not see the light of day on Shakuro's Plateau, or the light of night. I think Shakuro's is, I don't know, I guess it's a nighttime. Anyways, as soon as that cannon is up, and as soon as this gateway is finished, this gateway most likely will get canceled. Oh, is it going to get canceled and then warp into cybernetics core? Yes, timing absolutely perfect there. Sen unable to sneak by, as the Zerglings is now being forced to retreat home. Overlord is in position here. A queen already ready to take care of her hatchery, as you take a look at the income tab. 23 drones versus 24 probes, both sides even at this stage in the game. I believe Sen will be power droning once more, getting 2 additional overlords, and now power droning more drones as well, getting another spawn larva in as well, as the overlords are now trying to see what exactly Mousesports' HasuObs is doing. You can see that there are currently 3 buildings over here, and now I believe this is just the time when a lot of Protoss players sit back and then simply macro. As a good Zerg player, though, Sen should establish up a third base, and right as I say that, Sen establishes this third base here at the 9 o'clock expansion location. And this is a curious move, and the only reason why I say it's curious is I'm not sure if this expansion would be better, or perhaps even this expansion, the little happy face expansion over here at the 6 o'clock position, as both ways, at least if you expand down into this direction, you will force your opponent to get rid of one of his own buildings, and you know he will not be able to get the forge and the weapons upgrade nearly as quickly. The Zerglings are hiding off over here. The Overlords are trying to see if any rocks will get destroyed, as this one Overlord quickly gains sight of the probe saturation at this natural expansion. The Sentry getting as much damage as possible onto the Overlord, but the Overlord should be able to hide up onto that high ground and just stay there for a little bit of time. Hatchery about to be completed as both sides just continuing to macro up. We are teching the tier 2. We are getting a Roach Warren and still power droning coming in from Sen. Sen at some point needs to get some additional extractors. He's only mining off of 2 right now compared to the 3 that HasuObs is mining from, and I expect another one will be mined out in just a little bit of time. Level 1 weapons upgrade now being started on that forge over here. Continuing to chrono boost it, trying to make sure that that the weapons upgrade is completed rather quickly, and then perhaps moving out with a lot of zealots. We are getting a Twilight Council and additional gateways, so it is going to be perhaps a 6 gate off of 2 base, trying to put down as much pressure as possible. Drones now being transferred here. Another queen already ready to take care of this hatchery as the evolution chamber is underway. The production tab shows a lot of roaches now being trained. As Tech to Tier 2 just completes, we should see perhaps the Glio Reconstitution come in as well. There it is. And at some point, even burrow, as roaches do enjoy burrowing in order to regenerate all those hit points. The problem is the roaches are not going to be able to make it up this ramp, really. Even if they have an Overlord to try to offer sight, it's going to be very, very difficult. What I suspect should happen is that those roaches, and if they feel lucky enough, they can actually come into this position here and try to shut down this Cybernetics core. By shutting down the Cybernetics core, just because it's out of range of this photon cannon, you can slow down what your opponent can warp in. You can kind of reset their tech. And you can also then run in with those Zerglings. We'll see how that works out as we are now going into Spore Crawlers, trying to make sure that there is not going to be any Stargate play this time around. Roaches and Zerglings in the middle of the field. A lot of just Roaches and Zerglings in the middle of the field. Glio Reconstitution almost completed, and an Overseer now being added as well. Another Forge being warped into play as this Forge is in fact taken down. So it looks like this is going to be a repeat of Terminus Ray and Tall Dream Altar trying to make their way out and put some pressure with this 2-base 6-gate. A 2-base 6-gate, a very, very popular strategy, and a proxy pylon being placed down here as these rocks were destroyed. So a proxy pylon down here. Another Nexus could be warped in here, and yeah, another Nexus now warping in here. So HasuObs trying to take that 3rd base. And I'm curious as to why he didn't try to destroy these rocks and then punish his opponent at this base over here with all of those gateway units. If he left this front door seal here, it would have been much more difficult for Sen to try to push his way through. Colossi can easily take down all of these units that tend to get choked up on the ramp, as the Stalkers do have Blink, and there is currently no robotics bay, so there are not going to be any Colossi. Roaches and Zerglings still swarming out across the map. Level 1 weapons upgrade about to be completed. Burrow started in addition to that tunneling claws. 8 more Roaches are being added as well. As you can see, a slightly larger mineral army for Sen. Meanwhile, a slightly larger gas army by HasuObs, as those Stalkers are now making the trek out across the map. But pretty much already being revealed, as there are a lot of Zerglings. Roaches now getting some pressure in, and this is what I wanted to see from HasuObs. Using observers in order to clear up creep so that the Roaches, Zerglings, and Banelings do not move nearly as quickly. 182 though compared to 111, as you take a look at the army sizes now, and 1,000 or 1,200 mineral difference by Sen, and with Burrow and Tunneling Claws now being started, the Roaches are now trying to get as much damage as possible. The Stalkers able to blink up onto the high ground, both sides battling it out, and both sides doing a lot of damage towards each other. Force fields also coming into position as well, as those Roaches perhaps should try to focus down and get some damage onto that pylon there. There are a lot of Roaches though here. As you can see, more gateways being added here, in addition to a couple cannons and 2 additional pylons to try to power those gateways. Roaches are now simply burrowing underneath the force field and gonna pop up and take down all of those key buildings. There is an observer in the air, so it's still revealing all of those roaches, and those roaches trying to run away, and it looks like they will be successful. Oh! HasuObs being careful to blink with one stalker, shut it down, and then run away. Colossi are finally being added to the army. Sen's army took a significant blow there. But so far, only 1750 resources lost by both sides. Level 2 weapons upgrade in addition to the eventual sack, so we may get a bit of a doom drop in just a little bit. Sen does see the warp gates over here as well, so at some point he may just try to put some pressure down and shut this down over here. You can see that the destructible rocks nearly destroyed. How much damage they take each round of that acid saliva spit. Down go those rocks. A Zergling now checking to see what is down over there, and now the roaches are going to simply walk down the ramp and go after all of those buildings. Now force fields quickly being laid down, but it's not going to really matter much as there's not enough to really push all of those units. Stalkers are able to blink up onto that high ground though, as now we have a battle at the 12 o'clock location. Both sides battling out. Stalkers trying to fight against all those burrowed roaches, but the roaches heal so much damage while burrowed, so that it's very, very difficult to actually slow them down. The roaches are now continuing to fight, and now Colossi being forced to pull back there. The roaches, however, this roach army quickly getting depleted and dwindled as 25 more roaches are being queued up. This hatchery up on that high ground, its days, I believe, are limited and numbered as that. There you go, Sen getting up that hatchery, and it's not going to even train up one unit. Roaches are now trying to burrow themselves. You can see how quickly they regenerate 10 hit points a second, as the roaches are now perhaps going to re-engage in just a moment. Stalkers and Zealots could easily just push down this ramp. HasuObs has to be careful though, as those roaches are now trying to push in to Colossi, and I believe that the Colossi stuck on the ramp and the Stalkers were just stayed here. That would have been a favorable position for them, as the Colossi would be well protected, and the Colossi would be dealing maximum splash damage. Harvester count 73 probes versus 69 drones. Food count though 4,000 or 190 versus 149. Those roaches only cost 100 minerals each, or 100 resources each, compared to the 175 on those stalkers. The roaches trying to catch up. Will they be able to shut down any of those stalkers? Are there going to be any force fields? Both sides battling it out. The Colossi are a bit exposed, but able to retreat once more. Corruptors are now being added as gateways trying to be replaced down to make sure that there's no more pressure along this backside here. You can see one Corruptor currently being trained. No tech to tier 3 yet, as we are still at layer. As the Evolution Chamber now getting the Carapace upgrades. So level 1 Carapace upgrades, and the roaches already have level 2 weapons upgrade, dealing 20 damage per attack. Psystorm now being started as well, so Archons and Colossi are possible to add insult to injury, and a lot of Psystorm would soften up these roaches. The roaches heal, I believe, 10 damage a second, and I believe Psystorm actually does somewhere in the realm of 12 damage a second or 11 damage a second. So we'll see what really happens there, as those roaches are now trying to push their way down. Roaches will be able to deal a lot of damage towards these Colossi, as this Overlord quickly getting sniped down, and now it looks like these rocks want to get destroyed, as this Nexus over here will be the 5th base for Mousesports' HasuObs. Another hatchery also being placed down here, as there is a hatchery already up and running. 71 drones compared to 82 probes. This Nexus also coming in, so HasuObs looking very, very strong right now, with a lot of photon cannons in position, and I believe Sen isn't going to be up the creek without a paddle in just a moment, unless he's able to just absolutely trade armies like a king. 5,000 mineral army, 2,100 gas compared to 4,975, and freeing up supply, so 209 food over 200. That's not something you see every day, where Sen tried to just free up as much supply as possible by putting down a lot of spine crawlers and then canceling them all in order to be able to continue to mine with them. So nicely done, sitting at 209 food and able to train up 5 infestors, and that should definitely bolster and help that Zerg army significantly. Colossi now pushing in, because Stalkers are now engaging. Corruptors also pushing in as well. Psystorm, both sides battling out. The roaches are now pushing their way through. So much Psystorm, so much damage is being dealt. The Corruptors have finished off all of those roaches Sorry, the Corruptors have finished off all the Colossi, though, as Infestors are now going to come in, and Fungal Growth. This may be a chain fungal growth battle. Yes, another fungal growth coming into play. Another fungal growth. And all of those Stalkers just so low on hit points as they perhaps need to reconsider what they want to do. One Archon pushing a little bit too far there as the Roaches now on creep. We're going to be able to get a lot of damage onto those fleeing Archons. Finally off of creep, and another Roach getting destroyed. This army is very, very low on hit points. That one Archon not to get destroyed as the Stalkers are trying to run away. You can see how many low hit point Stalkers there were. And I think the fungal growth just overlapped just a little bit too long. You can now see the Roaches trying to push down over here. And it looks like they're going to be able to charge up that ramp rather quickly. Only one pylon. That pylon just needs to get shut down. Just shut down the... No, not shutting down the pylon there. As the reinforcements of Zealots now coming underway. Roaches unable to get enough damage there. As all of those Roaches are now just currently regenerating. Corruptors are in the air, though, as the Roaches perhaps trying to live and fight another day, gonna burrow themselves and trying to get as much damage as possible. More Stalkers blinking away, but without smart blinking, some of those Stalkers did get a little bit out of position there as the Roaches once again reburrow. As now this one pylon finally gonna get taken down. More Stalkers warping in along the high side. And now in come the Corruptors as well. So Sen with a very large army now, both sides battling, and now the Corruptors nothing to really attack as there are no Colossi. Psystorm coming in. In comes a new Colossus for those Corruptors to try to shut down. The Roaches are trying to run away. More Psystorm onto those Corruptors. So the Corruptors are going to get taken down, but not without first destroying the last of the Colossus. And now in comes another set of fungal growth. Feedback onto the Infestor as the Roaches are now in a bit of trouble. The Roaches now trying to go after some more of those probes. It looks like the probes will get taken down, but Mousesports finally able to clean up all of these Roaches that were just running rampant through the base. So a lot of damage dealt. Harvester count 70 drones versus 71 probes, 25 Roaches versus 18 Stalkers, 1 Zealot, and 4 High Templar. Those Infestors also going to be doing a lot as well. We are now at Hive Tech, but I do not see a Greater Spire. Do I see? Yes, I do see a Greater Spire. So Greater Spire is in play, and that means Brood Lords are coming. So Brood Lords making their way out, and it looks like the Queens may be joining in this battle. And if the Queens actually join in on this battle, that would be a very, very nice addition, as the Queens would be able to transfuse those very expensive Brood Lords, keep them alive longer, and also if they're able to continue to spread creep, that will help out as well. Sen unable to put the creep tumors down on the other side of the map just quite yet, as there is nothing looking beyond the other side anymore. And both sides are now trying to re-bolster their army. A 10,000 resource army coming in from Sen compared to the 7,500 resource army coming in from HasuObs. Those Broodlords may spell trouble, though. 11 Broodlords, level 1 weapons attack on the Broodlords themselves. And, oh, this poor Zealot, not realizing that there was a Burrow Roach there. The Queens also have... No, that's melee attack. Where is... I need to find a Zergling. Is there a Zergling on the map? No Zergling on the map. How often do you see that happen? Alright, so no Zergling on the map. No Ultralisk, so I do... Let me check the Evolution Chamber. Level... Oh, no weapons upgrade on the Claws. So those Broodlords will not be dealing too much. Roach is now trying to make their way over. It looks like the Broodlords are going to be coming in and offering sight up onto the high ground. The Stalkers... Oh, the Broodlord coming in and long distance Broodlord... Or Broodling throwing, able to shut down that Stalker there. We are now going to have one pylon here that will be able to warp in and continue to put pressure along this. We are going to get some Spine Crawlers warping or morphing into position with an Overlord in position to try to fend off and reveal any of those Stalkers, so no more pressure there. And now this is just a giant frontal battle. The Broodlords could easily push in and destroy all of those photon cannons. It'd be rather difficult for the Stalkers to try to blink up onto that high ground. And if they do blink up onto that high ground, the Roaches would be able to clean them up. There are also a lot of Infestors, and the longer the Infestors are in the field, the better it will be, as the Infestors are going to have a lot of energy, but the High Templars are also getting a lot of energy as well. So this is going to be an epic battle for the ages, as we now see Sen sitting at an almost 1,300 resource army. Meanwhile, we have We have HasuObs sitting at a 1100 resource or 1150 resource army, and the only real difference is the amount of probes having 15 additional food in order to be able to build a large army there. The Broodlords now making their way out. We are getting the level 3 Carapace upgrades as well as all of those broodlings simply getting cleaned up there. And now Sen just sitting on a lot of resources, perhaps wanting to just be able to macro up and clean up rather quickly. You can see maximum larva at all of those hatcheries, sitting on 17 larvae. And now, once again, dumping into spine crawlers. So he is now dumping a lot of his drones into spine crawlers here. And is he going to cancel them at the last moment? Or is he actually going to build those spine crawlers and try to walk them down the ramp? That would be absolutely hilarious. Spine crawlers on the ramp to try to clean up all of those photon cannons there. And no, he actually did clean up all of his spine crawlers. So now sitting at 211 over 200. And he definitely has the larger army at this stage, sitting at almost a 1500 resource army. I don't think I've ever seen a 1500 resource army in any of my casts. 4 infestors with maximum energy, 4 queens with maximum energy as well, and those broodlings making their way, destroying those rocks rather quickly. And now the Broodlords are going to do a bit of damage. Not quite sure why those Broodlords are being held back here, as we are now on the move. Broodlords looking to perhaps do a little bit of flanking. There is one Zealot there, but perhaps he doesn't really care. The Roaches are now trying to push their way out, and the Broodlords are coming in. Are we going to get a transfused? Oh, feedback on all of the Infestors. So those Queens and 3 Infestors already destroyed the Broodlings, and Roaches are just trying to do as much damage as possible. Roaches are now pushing their way in. More Broodlords are coming in as well. Massive Psystorm. Where are those transfusions? Transfusions now happening in the sky. Able to keep all of those Broodlords alive, and mass transfusion against mass Psystorm, and the Broodlords are just absolutely owning everything, even though they're sitting in Psystorm for so long. Broodlords continuing to rain down, and we still have 12 Broodlords in play. All the Queens have run out of energy, but I don't think that matters. That poor Archon gonna get destroyed in a matter of seconds, as so many Broodlords coming into play. Broodlings now just launching themselves. And the production tab, we still have 14 more Roaches. Cybernetics Core going to get quickly taken down. That means no more Stalkers, folks. And without any Stalkers, Archons are going to be the only unit that can actually attack back, and that is going to be a problem. Broodlords are now making their way down over here. Psystorm coming in once more. The Queen's getting feedbacked, but the Psystorm hitting all of those Roaches. The Roaches could easily just burrow once more. Stalkers are engaging, trying to focus down the rest of those units. Roaches battling it out, but Sen still with a dozen Broodlords in the air. Dark Templars trying to fight back as well. There is a couple Queens. The Queens should perhaps be trying to do a transfusion, but no transfusion from her, as the Broodlords are just dishing out that damage so quickly. Cybernetics Core finally reworked in, so Stalkers will be back in the field once again. There is an observer revealing all of those poor Roaches, as those Roaches are now just trying to run away. Where is an Overseer? No Overseer just quite yet. And now we may get a fungal growth just onto that Dark Templar there to reveal it. The Broodlords continuing to attack, and now we have a large group of Zealots and Probes trying to attack over here. The drones may turn around to try to attack as well, as the Broodlords are continuing to rush in. Infestors coming in, more Broodlord cocoons, more Infestors coming into play. The Probes joining in on the battle, trying to win the war with their little particle beams. But I believe the drones can just say, haha, I got Broodlords. Broodlords continuing to just rain and rain Broodlings. Another Hatcher, or another Nexus has been taken down. All of these gateways, Cybernetics Cores, and all of these buildings most likely will get taken down in just a matter of seconds. The Probes will be able to finish off this hatchery here, as there are, Roaches and more fungal growth Roaches coming in, those Colossi unable to move, and now these Probes need to back off. All of these mineral patches have been destroyed, as the Broodlords are just raining down Broodlings. Stalkers once again coming in, may be able to finish off those Broodlords there. It no longer has a hatchery, or no longer has Queens that try to offer any additional protection, and all the Broodlords are finally cleaned up, but I believe the damage has been dealt. If you take a look at the income, income on both sides are rather weak. Stalkers of HasuObs trying to clean up the rest of the Overlords and the Overseers. Army compositions much larger by Sen. He does still have one Infestor. And where is that Overseer? Overseer finally going to be hatched into play here. And these roaches need to shut down this set of mineral patches, and in a hurry. You can see that there are Dark Templars. The Dark Templars are going to be trying to go after that Overseer with a vengeance, as there are now Infestors joining in on the fight here. Those Dark Templars, what is going to happen? There's still an Overseer here, as the roaches are now pushing their way through. Sen's Infestors are going to may get caught out of position, and now getting off a fungal growth. Is going to be able to get off another fungal growth? No, the roaches are now trying to battle it out. Overseer about to be hatched. That one Dark Templar, it will get a lot of kills as the Overlords try to shut it down. Oh, and it regenerates all of its hit points just as it hatches, saving it. And there's the game. Oh my goodness. So game 3 in this best of 3 series, in a pivotal best of 5 series between Fnatic and Mousesports, goes to Sen for his crazy Queen Broodlord attack. And I could not have scripted that any better. What an amazing show of macro and micro by Sen. And congratulations to Fnatic for winning Season 1 of the Clan Wars. Consolations and heartfelt loss for Mousesports, as Mousesports was in the finals with a 2-0 lead after going, I believe, in an impressive 13-2 in the qualifying rounds. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this Clan Wars series and Game 3 in this Best of 3 series. Part of a Best of 5 series here on Shakuro's Plateau.